what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique update from GoodVito Vitaly Ugonikov, revealing a couple of things in this latest physique update: his current shape, his current weight, and also his next competition. We know that the goal for Vitaly is to compete in the 2023 Mr. Olympia. After earning his pro card last year, he's looking to make his pro debut this year. And hopefully, if that goes well, his Olympia debut this year. So in this update, which is a front double biceps pose, he's weighing 125 kilos, which is roughly 275.5 pounds. And personally, I think the front double biceps is one of his better poses. It really shows off that crazy V-taper that he has. And I think he looks pretty good here. But he says that he's going to be competing in the championships in September. And my money would be on that being the IFBB Pro League Pro Championships over in Alicante, Spain, which is September 17th, 2023. And funny enough, that's one of the shows I mentioned last time I talked about GoodVito as being a possible candidate for him as one of the shows that he's doing, because it is an international show closer to the Olympia. But he also does say here that he's currently looking for a coach and a team that will conquer the top places with him. So maybe right now he does not have a prep coach and he's not working with anybody. I don't know. I thought he had a sponsorship. I thought he was working with a company called Darkness over there in Brazil, but I don't see that listed on his profile anymore, so maybe not. But he is a guy I've had my eye on for a long time, and I think a lot of us should have our eyes on looking forward to his pro debut. It's like we saw with Michael Krizo, Andrew Jacked, Nick Walker. I really, truly believe that GoodVito could be one of these guys that has a rapid ascension in the IFBB. His star could rise very, very quickly. For him to win a show and then go to the Olympia just a couple months later is certainly within the realm of possibility. And then to make a splash at the Olympia, I think, is also in the realm of possibility for him. It certainly seems like right now we're going through a little bit of a renaissance in bodybuilding, where these new guys, these young guys, are coming in and making a statement really quickly. And the names that become the names that are most talked about is changing very quickly from year to year. Just about a year ago, nobody was talking about Andrew Jacked as being a threat to the Olympia title. Now pretty much everybody is talking about him being a threat to the Olympia title. He just earned his pro card at last year, the 2022 Arnold Classic. So within 1 year's time, Andrew Jacked was able to win 2 pro shows, place top 10 at the Olympia, and then top 3 at the Arnold Classic just 1 year after earning his pro card at the Arnold Classic Amateur in Ohio in 2022. So it's that quickly that someone like GoodVito could rise among the ranks. It's insane to think about, but really, Andrew Jacked, 1 year. Think about how talked about he is and how big of a name he is now as a serious contender for the title of Mr. Olympia. So we'll keep our eyes on GoodVito. I'm actually expecting big things from him. I really think he's going to deliver when he competes in September. Now, next up in the news, Seth Feroce. He looks incredible. A lot of these recent updates he's been posting, he's been showing off really pretty crazy detail and condition for a guy that hasn't competed in over a decade. His latest post showing off the side shots of his legs. He says everybody got worked up about the front shot. I'll show that shot after these. He says, how about a side shot, roughly 208 pounds this morning? And obviously you can see he's got striated glutes, all kinds of detail in his quads and his hamstrings. He's in incredible shape for a retired, or quote-unquote retired pro bodybuilder. And I think he deserves some props here. Now, a lot of people have been sending me stuff from Seth Feroce saying, Masters Olympia. I just want to dispel that very, very quickly. As much as I want to see Seth come back and compete, he's only 38, believe it or not. The age bracket for the Masters Olympia is 40 plus, and Seth's birthday is in November. So he won't even be 39 until after the Masters Olympia is over, and he wouldn't even be 40 for next year's Master Olympia, assuming it's also in August. So while yes, I think that would be an interesting conversation to have, and it would certainly be interesting to see him compete in the Masters Olympia, that's not even possible for another couple of years. And I'm sure you guys are making Seth feel a little bit old with the Masters Olympia comments. He's only 8 years older than me. But look, the bottom line is Seth does look incredible here, and a lot of people would like to see him come back and just compete in a regular 212. And the photo that I thought more so, besides the side shots, was this front-on shot where you could see all this crazy separation in his quads, the teardrops. He looks insane for a guy, like I said, that hasn't competed in a while. And keep in mind, a lot of bodybuilders, they say don't hit their competitive prime until their mid to late 30s, and Seth is in his late 30s. It's not like he's a guy that's past his prime. So I'm actually not surprised at all when we see these updates and Seth looks incredible, because I'm more surprised about the fact that he doesn't want to compete anymore. He said that multiple times, that he doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want to compete. He's done with the competitive stage. I'm more surprised about that, considering how good he looks, than I am surprised about him looking good. When he was competing, that's what he was known for, was crazy conditioning. So a guy in his mid to late 30s, well, we'll say late 30s, I'm not surprised that he can still look ripped up and still look big and still look like he could be a top 212 competitor. I'm sure a lot of the guys in 212 that are placing towards the top of that Olympia lineup are in their late 30s, or maybe some even older. Mal El Gagni, for example, he won it in his 50s. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. A Seth Feroce comeback. Do you want to see it? Do you think it could still happen even though he says it's not? And just let me know what you guys think about how he's looking in general compared to active 212 competitors, because he's in that weight range. He says he's 208, and he's pretty ripped up. And I see the same type of comments every time, like when we talk about Jay, the same thing. It's like there's no financial incentive for these guys to do these shows where they could win less than $100,000. Well, probably much less than $100,000 to win the Masters Olympia. While yes, I get that, and I agree with that, I don't think that's their incentive to do it. I think they've got two real reasons to do it. Number one, I think these guys that have been gone for a decade, that still train, still diet, still eat like a bodybuilder, there's probably a pretty big part of them that misses getting on stage and competing. That's why they're still staying in shape, still training like that, still eating like that, because they enjoyed the process. And there's probably a little bit of an itch with a guy like Jay or with a guy like Seth, that they want to scratch that itch and get back on stage one last time, but they also don't want to be embarrassed with their placings. Nobody wants to be the guy that stuck around too long with bodybuilding and ends up going out, placing 10th at like a local show. There's that. I think the other incentive is these guys are basically influencers, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, Seth Feroce has built a massive brand off of his name on social media, and a lot of those people that follow Seth for that, I think, would tune in probably tenfold to watch him prep for a show again, being out of the game for 10 years. Because keep in mind, a lot of people now, a lot of guys on social media now that watch bodybuilding content, 10 years ago, they were probably like 10 years old or less and had no idea, knew nothing about bodybuilding, so they didn't get the opportunity to see Seth compete. So a lot of Seth's fans may have never even known him as a competitive bodybuilder. They never got to watch him compete. And the same thing is true for Jay. There's a lot of teenagers that watch Jay Cutler, or maybe even in their 20s, that never got to watch him compete at the Olympia in real time. And I would say that is the biggest reason for some of these guys to come back that have these massive social media followings, is their fans would eat it up. Absolutely. And even me, I was actively following bodybuilding 10 years ago when Seth was still competing, and I can barely remember some of the shows that he did, as far as remember them, watching them in real time. So just something to think about, and I think it's an interesting dynamic that the Masters Olympia in and of itself brings back, is it brings back the what if factor in bodybuilding, because now you've got this show with the prestige of the Olympian name, a decent amount of prize money. I don't think it's a good enough amount of prize money, but it's decent. And they've got this really widely encompassing 40-plus age range, and there's a lot of guys where we could say what if about that fit that bill. So it gives that, element of mystery back to bodybuilding a little bit. It's kind of like anything could happen. Anybody could show up there, but I think I talked about this topic too long. We'll go on to the next one now. So next up in the news, a physique update from Blessing Awodibu 3 weeks in to his prep, 15 weeks out from his next show, which will be the Chicago Pro. I got to give it to Blessing here. He actually looks pretty good, and you can actually see his legs straight on. Again, a lot of discussion about Blessing's legs recently. I saw he got into a bit of a controversy with Johnny Styles. I was watching Johnny's video the other day where Johnny had left a comment on one of his posts. If you don't know who Johnny Styles is, he's the godfather of wellness. He used to be the videographer for Redcon 1, and he used to work for RX Muscle as well. Really well-known guy, but him and Blessing had a little bit of an altercation in the gym, at Redcon 1 gym, about some of Johnny Styles' comments about his legs, saying that Blessing only poses in these weird side angles where his legs look good, because from the front he says they don't. But I actually think in this first shot, the most muscular, his legs don't really look that undersized from the front, so I got to give it to Blessing. I think that actually is a decent looking shot for him as far as the lower body goes. You can see the side shot, his legs look decent from the side, and then straight on from the back, I think is really, to me, one of the weaker shots for his legs. I think that's where they look the smallest because he's got this crazy wide back. He's got a really solid back. And we know that his legs are a little bit undersized and have been for a while. And I think he has brought them up in recent years from the front. I think his quads look better and bigger and a little bit thicker, especially I think at the Indy Pro and the New York Pro that he won in 2022. But from the back, I feel like is where they still lack quite a bit. But I wanted to give him some credit here because I actually thought for Blessing, that front-on shot where you can see both of his legs, I really do think it looked pretty good for him. I feel like in a way, because that was such a big talking point with the thing with Johnny Styles about not hitting these front-on shots of his legs, I think he kind of embraced that and said, okay, I'm gonna post a front-on shot of my legs. And again, the other thing that I was impressed about here was the body weight. He says he's back down to 300 pounds, which not a lot of bodybuilders ever get the opportunity to say they're dieting and they are down to 300 pounds. But I do root for Blessing because in a way, while I feel like it came off, some of the stuff at the Olympia with the press conference and stuff with Blessing, it came off a little bit annoying and abrasive with Blessing. But if he were actually doing really well at the Olympia, if he was like a top 3 guy and he was talking like that and he was being that entertaining, I don't think people would be as annoyed. I think it would be just more entertainment value to the show. But because he does bring this like WWE wrestler-esque element to bodybuilding, I think it would be good if he were better. So I do root for him. Because when he's tying for last at the Olympia, it's not entertaining to see him talk a big game. But if he was talking big game and, going toe-to-toe with the best in the top 3 in the first call-out, then it would be pretty entertaining, I think. So right now, I feel Blessing is kind of talking the talk, but not necessarily walking the walk. And I think that's why people are kind of put off by him, and that's why I'm rooting for him. I think if he improves and he does well, it makes bodybuilding overall more entertaining. But let me know what you guys think about Blessing Awodibu in the comment section down below. Do you like or dislike what he brings to the sport overall? And what do you think about his physique? Do you think he will ever bring up his legs enough to be a top Olympian? Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, the latest couple updates from Sergio Oliva Jr. Now that we know he's for sure not doing the Arnold Classic South America, I have a feeling he's probably eyeballing the New York Pro or the Cali Pro, just based on the shape that he's in, based on the fact he says he's looking, if he does compete, it's going to be relatively soon, just not in Brazil. Honestly, this front double bicep shot that he posted really, really impressed me. Sergio's width, I think, is one of the things that really works for him. I'm curious to see if he's been able to effectively bring down his midsection, because that was one of the big criticisms that he got after the Legion Sports Festival. But this front double bicep, the width of his lats, just the stage presence that this would have in this pose, looks pretty commanding. Now, obviously, we would have to see it without the stringer on, but he looks really good in this shot. This really impressed me, and this really made me want to see him come back and compete. Now, he also posted a little bit of a victory pose here with the caption, "Poetry in Motion." Obviously, this was his father's trademark pose. Again, showing off the same thing as that front double bicep did, the width of the lat. So I, for one, am very excited to see Sergio back on stage. Which show do you guys think it'll be? The 2 closest shows are first the New York Pro and then the Cali Pro, both in May. So my money would be on one of those 2. What you guys think in the comment section below. That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.